would only work during COVID crisis. And then, and also for the solution that they were working at the time, it was also important to have something that was quick to assembly and quick to deploy. So based on what Thomas said, a solution where you just have Ambu bags or something that already every hospital in the world has, and you have a simple mechanical system, it speeds up the assembly and deployment.
Yeah. I was just wondering because, when you say regarding the regulation, was it Swiss-based regulation or was it the CE marking or?
Yes. So we never did any regulation. So this is not a product that is on the market.
Yeah.
And right now we are in a territory of developing let's say standardized market product, and we follow the CE certification.
Okay.
But so it also means that right now we are on the long path.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because but I understand, I'm not sure if I understood correctly, but what I got the information was that the CE mark did not have an emergency pathway as compared to in the UK or in the US where they have this emergency FDA use or emergency, this MHRA had an emergency path, but what I understand from the interviews was that CE did not provide this emergency route and that therefore it took quite a long time. So did you also experience that?
Maybe I can shed some light on it. So CE mark is European certification process implemented by European Union for all the European Union countries.
Yes.
But now every member country is still like an independent entity. So like in normal times, even now, all the European Union countries follow the European Union directives. During COVID, some countries, not all, but some countries took the initiative to break off from the CE mark and temporarily introduce their own permission, let's say. So for example, Netherlands did it. And sometimes, it was like, for example, UK did it like on a national level that, they clearly like announced it and this is what we do.
Yeah.
But in some countries, the decision was also made based on individual basis.
Okay.
Depending on the product. So this is, for example, something that Swissmedic, but Swissmedic is more for the drugs, but Swissmedic, could do, and say like, we approve it for this specific intended use for this specific period of time.
Okay. So just to understand, so this brief ventilator, did you go through the Swiss medical steps or in the development phase, or how was that? Because I understand you said the Ambu bag is already like a fixed recognized system. So you did the mechanical, kind of the other control part of it that was part of the brief ventilator project. So did you go through with the regulators in that sense, or is it not yet? Because you said
not yet. No. Okay. So, at this point, so we have never left ETH and we are still at the point of technical development and testing.
Okay.
And we, when I say we follow the CE certification process, it means that in our design process and testing process, we are guided by the requirements for like European directives, ISO norms, and so on.
Okay.
And in the end of the day, even if something, let's say Ambu bag is known and like certified product already, when you put it all together and you market it as a ventilator, with mechanical parts like pumping the Ambu.
Yeah.
You still have to certify it as the whole one product. Perhaps it will be easier because you are already using, other like certified components.
Yes.
Or that are of medical grade and were tested in human and, are proven to be safe. But still, it needs to be, approved as a ventilator in so the combination of all subparts.
Understand. So, because I understand you mentioned, you kind of designed this Ambu bag at the beginning for COVID-19 because the University Hospital kind of approached your team, but what were the reason that I guess, that it couldn't kind of go to market? I mean, not yet at least, because so what caused the delay, if any, or was it a plan? I guess because that you couldn't, not say you couldn't, but like that it wasn't to the market during that time of the emergency state, I think.
Mm-hmm. So yeah. I think that there are a few minor reasons. I mean, one is that, I mean, in the end, I mean, the ventilator shortage didn't really hit Switzerland. Yeah. I mean, there was fear and there was, I mean, there were discussions of it, but I think there was never like a really deep crisis situation. I mean, in the end, Switzerland was taking patients from France and other like neighboring countries.
Yeah.
And then, maybe, Thomas can add here something, but I mean, at least from my point of view, joining team in September, I think there was never a chance to really get it certified because, I mean, this is like a very complicated project, a high risk device that is basically buying you time. So maybe not saving life, but buying you time until doctor and other devices are available and, treatments can be done. So it takes a significant effort and human resources to develop a medical device. And then, so without this existing need in Switzerland at the time, and also very unclear regulatory processes in Switzerland, I think it would be just very difficult to achieve, unless there was really a crisis that would motivate the regulators to, release statements and procedures and so on. Because if you compare these systems, for example, to US system where they have FDA, that is a national agency for drugs and medical devices. Yeah. I mean, their processes are very different. For example, some of them are simplified. Some of them are better described. And I think, worldwide, I mean, they really, they were one of the quickest, the fastest in establishing these emergency regulations. Yeah. And also the whole process of like how people can actually achieve it is.
Okay.
Yeah. And you, Thomas, how do you think?
Oh, I agree. That's basically you summarized it pretty well.
What other challenges, in this development phase that you identify, I guess, because, developing a product and at the same time, during that time, there was uncertainty. So what would be the key challenges that you face and what would you have done differently, I guess, or similarly, if faced this situation again?
So maybe I can say like throughout, this all months, at least as I've been working on the project, one of the most challenging part is really identifying user needs. Identifying user needs. Okay. So, you can say, okay, this is a ventilator. Mm-hmm. So, it should pump the air. This is clear to establish. Yeah. But then, how to design it in a way that it meets, high usability. So it's easy to use for the users, that it answers users' needs. So it means that doctor can use it because there are various medical conditions. Yeah. And not every ventilator can be used for every single medical condition. Some ventilators are used for surgeries. Different ventilator is used for patients that have to be on multi-day long ventilation, and different ventilators are used for short-term patient transport. Yeah. So really identifying this need and where our product and the design could fit best and be the most successful, I think this is the most challenging. Okay. And you, Thomas?
Yes, I also think these are the most challenging parts. From the engineering side, once you establish the user needs and got the requirements for the product from that, these are classical engineering tasks that are approached very well. But the software, user needs are probably the most challenging things.
And in terms of user needs, in order to